Here you see a Kon-Tiki operating. The Kon-Tiki is a 1.65 meter diameter cone, about 1 meter deep, about 90 centimeters on the bottom. It's sitting in a cradle so that we can tip it, and it's surrounded by a ring, a stainless steel corrugated ring, which is a section of a water tank if it had been made into a tank, but we just purchased it as the ring. And that has a gap about 70 millimeters all the way around, and it's raised to 80 or 90 millimeters above the rim of the cone, so that air can flow up, preheated air can flow up between the cone and that stainless steel ring, and that provides the air for the fire, and the ring stays cool. You can touch that. We've got thermocouples 15 centimeters from the bottom and about 41 centimeters from the top of the cone, measuring temperature. The bottom thermocouple right now reads about 542 degrees. You can see some char laid out that come from the previous batch. That was actually a biochar mineral complex where we used wood chips and wood blocks and also gypsum. So we made a gypsum biochar complex. But right now we're feeding it with these wood chips that you see, wood blocks that you see lots of there. They've been sitting up here. They were 15% kiln dry, but they're probably up to about 20% moisture in them now. You can see here every now and then some smoke, and you'll see the smoke is forming a vortex. It comes up the sides and then rolls, most of it rolls back into the center and doesn't escape fire. So we're just about in a position soon to throw in another block. You see the bar going across. That top bar is the axis. The bar penetrates to the outside and sits in the cradle. And then below that bar, just 15 centimeters from the bottom, is another, it's not really a bar, it's a tube, and below that's another tube, and inside those tubes, all pushed all the way to the center, we have the thermocouples. So from any direction you look, you'll see any smoke that forms rolls into the center. We can throw the blocks in. At this point now it's going this good, about 60 liters at a time. 60 liters weighs 30 kilograms, so we throw 30 kilograms of blocks in at a time. Okay, we're still firing into the night. At this rate we can probably put on a 60 liter can every 15 or 20 minutes. You ready to put one on, Rob? Or just throw the rest of that in? So really no impact in terms of smoke. Obviously it's creating steam, but it's getting used up in the fire. So you can see the hollowness in the fire in the center. The fire is moving out horizontally, radially into the toroid vortex around the rim, and then it's flaming there, and you can see the flame rolling in, and if you see any smoke you'll see it rolling in too. Fun firing it at night. Now I've got a thermocouple down here, and I can keeping it a little away from the heat. You might be able to get a reading on that. Okay, it's 446 on the bottom thermocouple and 689 on the top thermocouple. So you can throw it in about as fast as you can throw that stuff from.
Yep.
So we're nearly to the top. Let's say 30 centimeters below the top. That probably means it's about 3/4 full. Another hour and a half of feeding it. We're going to have 900 liters or more in the 1,000-liter kiln. A couple of things stand out as we get the kiln almost to the top. The flames can appear a little lazier sometimes on the edges. A little bit of that sense on the right hand edge, and also the vortexes are now quite a bit smaller when you can see them in the smoke. They're rolling, but they're, you know, maybe like a 20 centimeter vortex instead of a 60 centimeter vortex, probably because it's constrained by the fact that there's only about 15 centimeters of open space left vertically in the kiln now. Now, as all this last load of blocks begin to pyrolyze, the flame can get quite intense. So if I weren't to add any more now, that fire would get bigger and bigger. So I'm probably going to finish by adding a load of chips on top. The chips have about 30% moisture as opposed to the blocks having 15%. And those chips will smother it down a bit and control the intensity of the flame as we finish up. And then I'm going to finish up by putting some leaves on it. Once we get down to hardly any more yellow flame, we'll just put some leaves on to keep a bit of flaming going, add a little ash, and then we'll quench it from below. Okay, we're gonna 11 o'clock at night, I think. We're going to add the last load here. Garbage can, way, wood blocks. Didn't phase it at all. So we just have a little bit of outgassing and we want to let that continue. There really isn't too much ash formation in the cone kiln with this type of wood feedstock. I did put a load of chips over the top, and they, even though they have 30% moisture content, they flamed very quickly. And now I'm going to add some leaves. Can you add some leaves? I'm going to just throw some leaves over on where the coals are. Have to get some around the other side. I'm also adding water at quite a fast pace. I just turned the water on to the drain at the bottom, so we're injecting water into the bottom of the kiln, and you can hear the water hissing in there as well. Might take 20 minutes or half an hour to fill it. So now we just have one block that didn't finish in the center, and little blue flamelets of carbon monoxide on the coals. Okay, we're going to scatter some straw over the hot coals now, but not over the flaming area. The straw ignites easily and flames easily. So the straw makes a little lattice of pyrolyzed material over the top of the hot coals. Okay, here's the full kiln. The next day you can see it's within 10 centimeters of the top. That's just about over 1,000 liters if it was totally full. And we removed the rim shield sitting over here, set up on some reasonably flat ground. That would be a kiln in itself. They call that a cylindrical kiln. There's another one over here. The first one was 1.8 meter diameter, fits around our 1.65 meter Kon-Tiki. That one's our 1.2 meter one. Some barrels there filled with quench water, that's smoke water. There's a pile of stuff we'll process through. Here's the kiln, sitting in its cradle. And you can see the thermocouples there. One is penetrating into the kiln at the axle, at the center of gravity of the kiln, and the other is going through a tube that's for that purpose, to put a thermocouple into the center of the kiln about 15 centimeters from the bottom. Now the kiln is draining out, so we're draining the quench water out. Last night, 2 nights ago now, we filled it to the top. Basically I fill it till I can see that the water's there, and then there's just coals on top, and I spray those with some water just to do the final quench. So everything seems to have charred completely. And the next step, after it's soaked in the quench water, and that quench water could have been pumped in with minerals or nutrients in it, we drain it back out. So underneath there's a nipple, a 9-degree bend going into a valve, and that goes into a decent hose which comes to a bulk liquid tank, a 1,000-liter tank. So you can see the level of the quench water that's come out. It looks to me like it's a couple of 100 liters in there, and that makes sense. The tank had 900 liters of biochar in it, and then the water has to fill the spaces between the biochar. So it's still draining, it's still dribbling out. You can see it there. The tank is not clean, it's had nutrients in it, but the water is clean that's coming out. Yeah? And if we wanted to now put some nutrients in that biochar, we have a submersible pump in here, and I could just take the hose and attach it to the pump, and I could pump some sea minerals, or I could pump cow manure water and so on back up into the kiln. Yeah, works quite nicely. Okay, we're at the end of another day. Been a busy day today because we needed to get the bulk tank and set up the plumbing and the pumping. But once we had done all that, then we had the bulk tank, 1,000-liter tank, connected to the 1,000-liter kiln through the hose and valves. We titrated the biochar, found the pH. pH was about 8.5, and calculated the amount of phosphoric acid, which turned out to be about 1 liter. Sitting on top of there is a 1-liter container, if you can see it in the dark, and we poured that liter of phosphoric acid into the water, which was quench water from the kiln. So we pumping the quench water back in, and we flooded all the biochar with the quench water or smoke water with phosphoric acid. So I hope that's really been helpful and inspiring to you in terms of making biochar. We have it here. We have the pH meter, and the pH meter, it'll be hard to see, but right now the pH meter reads 7, which was exactly our target. Okay, so we wanted a pH of 7, between 7 and 7.5, so the biochar is in a good condition for holding and releasing nutrients to the plant. So I'd just like to end by noting that biochar is far more than conditioning the soil so that you can get increased crop yield and increase nutrients in the crop. As important as that is, biochar also, I think one of its main benefits is going to be to hold nutrients in location where they want them and stop them releasing to the environment where they cause a lot of damage. And as well, of course, the biochar is made out of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, so we trap that and keep it in the earth. And as well, an important aspect of this is eventually going to be extracting the energy and using it somewhere else. So, to be continued. I hope this is inspiring and helpful for you. We've tilted the kiln on its side, laid out some tarps, and we're unloading the biochar. There's not a piece of unburned material in there, just pure wood biochar in this case. And that will all be shoveled out. We drained it overnight from the phosphoric acid and quench water solution. And we'll spread that out on the tops, and it'll dry in the sun for a day or two, and then we can package it up and put it into the bulker bags, which you can see over here. They're covered up by a tarp at the present, but there's 3 bulker bags over there. Each will take a whole batch of 900 kilograms of char.